Hey everyone, Thibaut here again for another Voices of Support podcast. And this time I'm happy to be with George, who's joining us from Nigeria. And he's going to tell us more about his job as a customer support associate. He recently started in a new company. I will let him present himself. And I think it's interesting to learn about your journey because I think you studied engineering and you mentioned to me before the podcast that one thing that led you to customer support is the love of helping people, basically. And so I think the floor is yours. If you can tell us who you are and how you started in customer support, that will be a starting point, I would say.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Thib. Hello, everyone. My name is George, and I'll describe myself as like a super passionate lover of people and technology, just like Thib has said. For as long as I can remember, I've always been someone who just had this great sense of fulfillment whenever a family friend or, a relative could rely on me for something. And this kind of grew as, I went through school and college and stuff. So I studied computer engineering in university. I went to University of Lagos in Nigeria. And after my studies, I completely fell in love with customer support. Because the funny thing is, I studied engineering, but I personally, I hate coding. So customer support and customer success, customer experience just felt like a perfect fit for me because I have a technical background, but I really love like solving problems and helping customers and things like that. I started off working for a company in Nigeria, working as a tech support intern before I moved on to foreign roles across, the world. I've worked with companies in Germany, the US, the UK, and I'm currently working for a company based in France, an aviation company based in France. So my journey has been, I'm grateful for my journey because I'm still pretty early. I won't call myself an expert or a global leader yet. Well, yeah, I'm doing the best I can and, trying to learn more, do more, help customers as much as I can and, get better, as the time goes. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's interesting to see people switching from engineering, even if maybe you didn't code like to code like. But I guess do you still consider yourself to be a bit more technical than some of the other agents that you see or that you have been working with? Like, is it
Yeah,
something?
yeah,
It,
yeah, for sure. I have like experience, working with like, Microsoft Azure, server management, and basically because I did tech support for a while for like about 2 years when I started out. So I have a technical background, so like, that helps me with the roles I'm in. So most of the roles I work in involves working with developers, the product team, fixing bugs, relating issues to customers. So it's not directly be just just facing the customers. Working with
Hmm.
startups and like SaaS applications, trying to fix issues and deployment and sprint meetings and all of that stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's my customer support roles are mostly technical, mostly
Yeah.
technical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And this decision or realization that customer support is what where you feel like it was the right fit for you, was there a specific moment or specific or meeting or a specific thing that basically sparked this and it make it click in your head that okay, that's exactly where I feel like I need to go right now?
Well, yeah, there was in a way because if I go way back to when I was doing engineering and stuff, so I was basically looking for careers that did not have coding involved because I did coding in my courses and stuff, but I did not like it. So I started with networking, computer networking. It was really nice. I had an interest in it, but I didn't really. It wasn't like that perfect glove fit. And then I explored cybersecurity as well. I did like a couple of months learning cybersecurity, and that was actually nice as well. But like it didn't fit. So customer support just felt like that perfect match, like soulmates kind of
Mhm.
ideology in the sense that like because I'm really good at understanding people. I have great emotional intelligence in helping people out and knowing how people feel, and I have a technical background. So I'm a creative as well. I'm a writer. So I have a special knack for like building engaging content and making technical things easy for customers and basically solving problems. And that is like one of the core skills in customer support. So yeah, it just felt like a light bulb moment for me when once I was done with college and you know there was nothing else I could ever think of doing, or I don't think there's anything else I would think of doing for for the nearest future.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, yeah. The emotional, those skills are really super important. I think it's more and more the case, and I think it will be even more in the future, because my take is that, yeah, of course, AI is going to have an impact and some simple stuff is going to go away, but the
Hmm.
emotional intelligence is exactly what's going to make the difference between an agent that is able to understand the behavior of customers and to act on it to make sure that we deliver the right solution for them. And I think that's also something you shared in the notes with me before the podcast today. Like, I think you mentioned multiple times customer behavior, understanding them. And I think you also
Yeah.
mentioned that a lot of customer support teams are still really reactive. And that's something that you feel like there is a lot that we can do around it, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I recently just finished a professional diploma with with the university in Ireland, and my main like I would call it maybe my course or my major was customer experience and behavior. So we really dove deep into understanding customer behavior in the sense of the journey map, the customer personas and how it relates to a business product and their product offering and their services. So, I began to like because I basically work in customer support, but like customer experience is something that is really gaining traction in the world we live in today. And it's important for it to be implemented across every level of, customer service, customer success, customer support. Customer experience has to be the mindset that each department carries because, it considers the customer, like each customer as an individual and understanding their pain points, understanding their touch points, and, really doing effective measures to ensure that they support them and they're satisfied.
Hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. But this triggers to me like those skills are not always easy to get. Like some of them you have them already a bit and you develop them, but can you share a little bit how training has been looking for you in your experience? Like how did it look? Like was it like a bit old school kind of slides where we show you what you need to say, what you need to do? I guess in technical support it's a bit more complex also. I mean,
Yeah.
so how training did and onboarding did look for you?
Well, across like several roles that I've worked in, the training is mostly similar in the sense of like, explaining the product because they're all different. Every company has its own, unique product offering, maybe a SaaS product. So like
Mm-hmm.
giving a basic, allowing every agent to have a basic understanding of how the product works. That's like a universal thing that every company does. And then now breaking down like, special case scenarios of like what this customer would say, what this customer would not say, like making agents to understand templates. These are the different kinds of training. But I would say like the ones I really find helpful is like what I call shadowing sessions in the sense of like, an experienced agent would be on a meeting with a new agent and basically show them how they do their day and like, let them share their screen or share their screen themselves and just like, follow along because that
Mm-hmm.
helps a lot because, it's just like, like college, it's much better to learn from like a tutorial, like a live tutorial, like a live class, than to read on your own. Like it's much more effective because you're able to think because of the different point of view coming to you, and you're able to like, articulate that. So this applies so much more in customer support and in tech support even because just
Mm-hmm.
shadowing sessions really helped a lot. And the trainings that didn't help were just loading the new agents with like documentation. Oh, read up on this,
Yeah.
check all our
Mhm.
processes, that is good in its sense, but like if there is no like intimate shadowing of understanding where all these documented processes come into play, there's going to be a gap or a mismatch in the new agent's understanding of how things work and how they actually work. So yeah, that's how I would describe it.
Yeah, 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 makes sense. And I think a lot of time. I mean, my view is that I've done in my past when I was an agent, like I did 1 month of training, and in the end, I was not ready to handle anything. I just learned by doing, basically. I
Yeah,
knew a
exactly.
few things, but it's just by um, having an actual customer on the phone with me and making mistakes and all those kind of thing. And
Yes,
that's
and
where I think
mistakes are
indeed.
very important. Like you need to make mistakes because if you don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn.
Yeah, and the problem is that when you make mistake with actual customer, it can be costly also. So I don't know.
Yeah, true.
Do you have stories where you had a difficult conversation with customer, maybe because you were still in the learning phase, or you needed to get to find the information? Like, how did you approach that then?
Yeah, yeah. I've had many silly stories of me as being like still less than a month into the job and like making a mistake with a live. There was a time where there is a certain process. Like for example, the client deals with suppliers and then with normal customers. So for a certain process, a certain supplier doesn't do direct refunds. If a customer requests a refund for that service, you have to go through a long process. So because I was still new and because like I didn't really understand it, I just processed the refund immediately, and it was like
Mhm.
really bad in the sense of like because it's going to be at the company's cost and things like that. But I was able to, because I had read up on the process in the past, I was able to like work around it, try and revert it, try and reset expectations and stuff, and just take ownership of it, because that's one thing I did. Because that's one thing I also advise, like, take ownership of your mistakes, and like, because your team they would support you, you're not going to get fired for making a mistake as a new person. You should make mistakes. So, and it's up to the company you're working with, up to your team to ensure that those mistakes are not business critical, are not, customer critical. And if they are, is more reflective of the kind of training you got than on you
Mhm.
yourself, because you're a new
Yeah.
person. So the mistakes that you should make are, yeah, you make mistakes, but not mistakes that, you burn an entire company server or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So that's why
Mhm.
we are working on this solution which is basically giving opportunities to agent to make mistake in a safe place, like with simulations and so on. And I think there are
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that the human
Exactly.
connection will not be able to be replaced in some cases, and that's still
hmm
something where you need to make mistake with customers, but I think we can also limit the blow on some cases with this. I'm always curious, not yeah, I guess because AI is everywhere and so on, but on your in your experience and what you are doing right now, is AI something that you are leveraging a lot? Like, how does it look? Is it integrated in your tools? How does it look?
Yeah, well, I would say yes. That's like a big yes in the sense, because I am a big supporter of AI in the sense of people say, it's going to take our jobs away and things like that. But I really disagree. I believe more so like, people should take advantage of AI to make their jobs a whole lot easier. There are certain processes, really streamlining systems to ensure that like, things are done in a much effective way. Like for example, for a previous company I worked with, which is like a smart manufacturing company in the US, they made use of AI to summarize customer cases that came in a very brief format. So like, because we were using Salesforce then, so like they incorporated like two different AI from two different platforms, or two different companies into our CRM, in the sense that when new cases came in, there will be like a very brief, short summary of what the case is about. That makes the customer, the agents work so much faster, because you understand what's going on and you're able to like respond. And even in your responses, like the AI provides links of knowledge articles that you can send to the customer already at hand. So you don't have to think too much. All you need to just do is bring your empathetic and problem solving self, and then the rest is easier. So I would say like that is like a very good example of where I've used it and where I still do. And I really believe like agents or companies should leverage it and its solutions of how it can improve the work, take away a lot of the routine work, because customer support has a lot of routine stuff that gets boring. So AI
Mhm.
can take away all of that, so that we focus on more cases of human interactions, and ensuring that like our clients, our customers are satisfied, and the very basics are like covered on like a very simple level.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess we'll have even more use cases. The more we advance, the more we'll learn about the
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
impact it can have. But
hmm
okay, interesting. One thing you were saying early on is that you don't consider yet yourself an expert, but I think you have already quite a few experience in the different settings, different kind of companies. And what do you think is the most challenging for someone? Maybe something that we can share out there, like in terms of, yeah, you start in customer support. What is the thing that is maybe that was the most challenging for you and that you wish you knew before so you could prepare or adapt to it?
I would say like the most challenging aspect of a new job in customer support is because our role has a lot to do with people interactions. We're interacting
Mm,
with customers, we're interacting with our own team, we're interacting across teams. So a very big challenge is understanding the company and team dynamics and how their customer voice is to their customers. Because that's a challenge in the sense of like, you can come into a new job and then you understand how things work. You understand, okay, if this case comes in, this is what you reply. but the way you phrase your response is not how the company, like as a team, how they have built that standard in their culture. And over time, it can create like different expectations with customers from what they already used to have before in the past. And also like
Mm,
basically, like I said, just basically human relations. For example, one of my previous roles when I was working for a company in the UK, our developers were mostly from Europe, so they're mostly like Romanian, Russian. So there was the challenge of a bit of a language barrier because their English was good, it wasn't bad, but like the way they express themselves, like or maybe like on Jira or like on Slack and trying to push issues, the expectations are different. So trying to be that middle ground between
mm,
your company and the customers, that's the biggest challenge. Just
yeah,
managing that relationship because as a customer support specialist, as a customer success agent or customer service agent, you have to be on the customer side, but you also have to think of your company as well because you can't be on the customer side so much that you cost your company a loss. That doesn't make any sense. So
yeah,
you are supporting the customer, but you are also like a part of the company in the sense like you have to really merge and balance both sides together. And I believe that that's like one of the biggest challenges for any customer support agent because there are customers that you get to really know a lot. So I have a lot of customers that I've had in the past that like we end up becoming friends. We catch up even after I finished working for the company. So it's in the sense of just balancing that limit of okay, we can provide you this as an expectation as a company, but this is the limit is going to be because we're a company and I'm part of the company and things like that. So that's basically the
yeah,
biggest challenge, just being able to manage that. And one advice I would give, from what I have learned personally, is to be brave. Basically, is what I would say. Really, really be proactive in the sense of like reaching out to customers, reaching out to your team, not allowing things to come and like overwhelm you in the sense of like cases or or like interactions of so certain expectations. Being very very open to ask direct questions to the developers or to your external team or to your product team. Okay, the customer wants this done. Is this possible? Is this not possible? A lot of agents are shy. They just wait for the manager to come and handle things themselves, or they just like keep lying to the customer. We'll get back to you. We'll get back to you. We'll get back to you. Nobody
mm,
likes to hear that. Like it's really annoying. I felt it on the customer side of things. Like it's really annoying getting the same response. So I would just say be brave. Be brave in the sense of like how you handle situations and how you handle cases, and really take ownership of everything that of every case, of every ticket, of every interaction. That's really going to help in making the challenge a lot easier. So that way, it's more fluid and there's less friction between both sides.
yeah. It's going back to being proactive and to going just beyond only solving a ticket that is gonna go away and you don't see later on, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Cool. And so that's on the side of us, like the agent teams and so on. But do you see anything you wish customers that are in contact with us would understand better about how a customer support team works? Because sometimes that's what happens. Like I'm actually a lot on Reddit, and you always see those two worlds that where you see agents complaining about customers that don't understand their job, and then you have customers complaining about agents not doing their best to help customers. So what do you think, like, customers should understand about what it is to actually work in a customer support team or environment?
Well, I would say like, customers should always understand that, like we are all humans and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's giving that grace is what I would call it. Giving that grace in the sense that like, you're
Mm-hmm.
talking with a human. Yes, you have an issue. Yes, you have a question, but like it's something that you can advise to customers, but there is no guarantee. Like, because customers are the reason the business exists.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is like plain and simple. In the grand scheme of things, it's we have to adjust ourselves to them. Every business
Mm-hmm.
has their own different types of customers. So like based on the demographic or the kind of niche, like how certain like sports brands, they have like a young demographic of people compared to like a different brand that caters to like much older people. So like every business has its own, they know their customers, you know your customers. So as long as you know your customers, it's important to always adjust your CX strategy, your customer strategy to really, really fit them because there is not so much a customer can do because we're humans in the end and humans can be annoying, humans can get cranky and so, but they are still customers and we still have to, support them, even in
Mhm.
difficult situations where you need to escalate a case or not, but you still have to support them. So I would just say that the best way is more of an advice you give to agents and not to customers. Customers will always be customers. Customers will always want to, they'll always have that advantage in the sense because they are the reason the business exists. So it's just the business
Yeah.
understanding the type of customers that they have. For example, like, for some, I play a lot of games. Like a common game I play right now is Marvel Rivals. So Marvel Rivals has a lot of customers which are young guys or young people that have very little patience, or that can be toxic sometimes because they are playing games. And so, like, Marvel Rivals knows their people, so they have to provide support and provide the products that really appease them because they understand and they listen to their gamers and to their people. So it's the same way too. So there is so much less you have to tell the actual gamer because they just want, they paid for the game, so they want to just play the game and have fun. So it's mostly up to the company. But yes, customers can do better with their interaction or understanding. But once a business can understand their customers and like really understand their customer base and know their customer base, it creates that, I understand you, so you understand me as well. You get what I mean? Like, it's we have to
Yeah.
always take the we have to always take the first step, because
Yeah,
that's
and
like
I
the
think
that's the best way.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's going back to what you were saying about being brave, and I think it's not easy also when you start about your job as an agent. I wouldn't have done that 1 month into my job, but
Yeah.
back then, when I had
Yeah.
maybe 2 years of experience into what I was doing, I remember that I was confident when a customer was not nice, to say it nicely, or that could be basically treating me like I was not a human. I
Yeah.
would be feel confident to just stop the conversation and say clearly to this guy, okay, I'm a human, you are human, this is my situation, that's why I'm not giving you the answer that you're expecting from me right now, because that's the reality. We'll work together on it, but let's keep the conversation like human to human, because otherwise it's not gonna work, and I'm gonna stop
Yeah.
the conversation right here. And I know it's not easy. It's not always in the best interest of all the companies, but that's also the kind of thing that I want my team. If I were a leader, I want my team to be able to take this kind of step back and also explain things and put themselves on the same level as a customer, because they shouldn't
Yeah.
feel like they are below customers because
Yeah. Yeah.
customers are
Definitely.
paying for something.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely. It's also like all part of setting expectations because
mhm.
a really big reason why customers get really upset or customer gets is the reality of, their imagination of what they expect and the reality is completely different, and that is always going to be down to the business. That's always going to be down to the customer team. So,
Yeah.
once you can get your team, or once a business can get their team to really really set expectations for their customers, customers already know that, okay, this is not going to get fixed until 2 months or a week. They know this from they know this already, compared to like if they think in their head it's going to be just 3 days and then you tell them it's going to be 2 months, they're going to be upset, obviously. And then that increases the chance of unpleasant interactions that that isn't nice for for any of us. So basically, like setting the right expectations is like is a really big deal for companies to do, which is why I said, like, it always starts with the company. Company has to really do their best to understand, or the
Yeah.
team, the customer support team or the contact center team, to really understand their customers, set the right expectations. Because once you do all of that, there might be, some one-off cases of customers that are still being mean or still being annoying, and that case will be handled normally because there's a boundary to how you talk to people, which everybody understands. But those cases are going to be very minimal. But if a company has a lot of times where you have has a lot of angry customers every time, it's most likely the company's fault, most likely, because not everybody can be angry at you. Like, there's something that you're not doing right,
Yeah.
obviously.
For sure. Cool, great.
Mhm.
We're already 25 minutes in, so maybe last two questions. I mean, do you have a clear path for where you want to go, like after what you're doing right now? Is it still in customer support? Is it more management? I mean, how do you see yourself and how your companies are helping you build this path, I would say, in development?
Yeah, okay. Well, I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm a good teacher. So I really love working with people. So in my head or in my mind, what I would wish is, to grow in my current role, and hopefully I become like a manager, like a top, because the highest I've been in my career is like, tier 2 or tier 3, but I haven't really had the chance to like manage people, which is like a dream of mine because I've had the chance of managing people like, maybe in church or like outside of work and things like that.
Hmm.
So I would say like that's like going to be like the next best step for me, maybe in like 2 years and stuff. Which brings it back to what I said. Like I don't think I'm an expert. Like Shep Hyken is an expert. He's like the godfather of customer service or customer success. So I just want to really, take my time and just grow towards that little by little. So I'll say maybe like in the next year, next 2 years, grow into that role, work with other companies because I love working with global companies and improving my portfolio and growing that, because it allows me to understand different industries. Now I've been
Hmm.
fortunate to work in the travel industry, manufacturing industry, entertainment industry. So like, I'm really interested in like in the healthcare. I haven't worked in healthcare before. So that's like an interest of mine down the line in the future. So, just exploring options, getting better, improving knowledge, and like, just being a better professional and like helping others as well, helping others, helping the younger, customer agents with, with a year or less than a year experience in what they're doing, giving them, a tip or two to make their lives easier. Because one thing I always say to people is you need to really love what you do if you want to succeed
Hmm.
in customer support because this is
Yeah.
outside of a lot of people, they work because they want to make money, because they want to pay bills. Like money is their main motivation. For us, we can't have that as our main motivation because we're working with people that can get us upset, people that can,
Mm.
that can just change our mood or change our emotions. So you really need to love what you do so that all the challenges just motivate you to overcome them, to do more, to achieve more. And that's how you really scale and really grow. So like for us agents, us professionals, that work with customers a lot, really loving your job is like the most important thing. I always tell people or friends of mine, like you really need to love your job because once you love your job, it makes it a whole lot easier, a whole lot easier.
Yeah, yeah. There would be a lot to say on that, but I think we'll have time. But it's great. Yeah, I think it's super important, and I see
Yeah,
too many people that are in customer support that are not happy, and just realize when you start coaching them and discussing with them that it's actually because they don't have the right skill, they don't have the right, it's not their personality, and that they are not in the
yeah,
right place,
exactly.
basically. So there is
Hmm.
no surprise there. And I think it's also important to help them see that and take the right steps after that. Super interesting, George. I think you would do a great potential team lead manager, whatever. I hope all the best for you.
Thank you, Tim.
Where do we connect with you? On LinkedIn, is it the easiest
Yeah,
if people want to catch up?
yeah, on LinkedIn. Yeah, on LinkedIn. Yeah, yeah. I'm open on LinkedIn
So
as well.
we'll put the link in the description when we release the podcast. And yeah, it was a great conversation. Thanks. We are already on time and even maybe a bit above. Thanks for all of that. I hope we can reconnect at some point. Maybe when you will be a manager, you can come back and maybe you'll have more stories to share.
Yeah, most there is to
And I'm
share for sure.
sure.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Tim.
Thanks. Have a great day. Thanks for all the sharing, and I hope you all the best for the upcoming challenges and everything.
Yeah,
Cool.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, George. Bye.